Alton Towers have made some changes to a planning application for a brand new indoor roller coaster, meaning it could very much still be going ahead. I never thought I'd see the day. In true Six Flags fashion, a brand new roller coaster that was supposed to open next year at one of their parks has been pushed back another year. And people have finally ridden the new tallest, fastest and longest roller coaster in the world, and there has been so many reviews about it that I haven't seen a single one. It's been a busy week because all that and even more has happened this past week in theme parks. Yes, welcome back to the series that has been covering the news all around the world all year long within the theme park industry this past week in theme parks. And technically today is the final episode of the year. I know, so sad, but it's for a good reason, I promise. Because there's a special episode coming next week. More on that later. More episodes will come later down the line too, because the series is going to continue into 2026. So if you do go on to enjoy this video, be sure to subscribe to the channel so you can stay up to date on all things theme parks here on out. And also so you can help us get to the amazing milestone of 150,000 subscribers. Thank you very much. And with that being said, it's a great honor to do this one final time in 2025 as we head into our final quickfire segment of the year. Let's do this. Starting in the United States of America. This does not look like the US, where over in Florida, Busch Gardens Tampa Bay have actually done something good for once, removing the comfort collars off of Tigris, their premier launch coaster. Oh my god, those comfort collars are the worst thing in the world. Very glad to see them remove that. It does not make it a good ride though. Universal Studios Orlando have been very busy with a lot of permits and stuff, because over at Islands of Adventure, their brand new Lost Continent replacement has now been seen to have a completion date of the 12th of April No, we're in America now. They write the dates the wrong way around. So it's actually the 4th of December 2027. I'm interested to see if that is the final deadline or that is just a date that they're going to extend from, because if it's not, my god, they're going to have to work quickly. And the same could be said for the brand new, definitely Intamin coaster in the Studios Park. And that has technically now gone vertical because the support structures for a building, whether it be the maintenance area or, I don't know, station building, that has now officially gone up, and it's very much in a different place from where the Rip Ride Rocket Station was. And I'm very intrigued to keep up to date on that project throughout 2026. Subscribe because I'll keep you updated too. Walt Disney World, also in Florida, have been very busy too. First of all, by announcing that the brand new Cinderella Castle repaint will be starting in January. You wouldn't think a repaint of the castle would be such a big thing, but if you talk to any Disney enthusiast, oh my god, this is the biggest thing in the world. I look forward to going to Disney World at some point and just seeing loads of cranes above the castle and people painting. Not that that's going to happen, because the cranes are going to be lowered out of sight each day. Tell you where they won't be lowered: over the Piston Peak and Villains Land that has now had permit approval and has started land clearance. And shout out to Bio-Reconstruct once again for these amazing aerial images. You can see where Piston Peak is going to go in that small sort of envelope between Big Thunder and the rest of that area, and then further back where that Villains Land is going to be. And these are going to be some big areas, albeit very controversial, but I'm excited to see them. Swiftly popping up to Canada, Galaxyland in Edmonton Mall in Edmonton has now actually poured footers for the replacement of Mindbender, which is supposedly going to be a new generation Vekoma launch coaster. Tormenta's Rampaging run at Six Flags Over Texas has finally been topped off, with the full crest of the drop now being in place, and my god, this thing looks huge. In fact, it could be taller than me. 309 feet on a dive coaster is crazy. When's the first strata dive, eh? It's probably going to happen at some point, let's be honest. The Beast at Kings Island is having even more RETRACK work done, where Kings Island and Gravity Group are partnering up to enhance the entire top section of the second lift hill on the Beast. And finally, before we slow down and go back into our normal pace on this series, 2 men were suspended at the top of a 130-foot drop after a roller coaster malfunctioned in Texas, leaving them stuck at a 90-degree angle facing the ground for nearly an hour before they were safely brought down. One thing I have to say to the news that reported this: shut up. I don't think the news will ever learn what roller coaster safety is, and when they do, I will eat my other shoe. And I say that because I won't have to, because they'll never learn. Very, very annoying. As is the entire Six Flags chain. Because yeah, sure, you know, Six Flags Magic Mountain have announced this brand new Looney Tunes area, which obviously they made the decision to remove the Magic Flyer roller coaster, which if you don't remember, is this one right here. worst decision in their history. But the same park, Six Flags Magic Mountain, was supposed to be getting this huge new Vekoma straddle coaster next year, the first of its kind. And they promised, oh, it'll be open for 2026, and they said that for a lot of their other projects at other parks that then got delayed a year or two. Well, now the straddle coaster joins that list because it has now been delayed to 2027. Six Flags try and open a ride on time. Impossible challenge. I will be 61 by the time that opens. But now it is time to gracefully fly over to the Middle East, because according to many different sources, people have finally ridden the new world's tallest, fastest and longest roller coaster, Falcon's Flight. With the park opening at the end of this month, of course, people are probably going to end up riding it early because of soft openings, like the park has soft opened already, much like what happened with Epic Universe, all that stuff. Sure, people have ridden it. But has there been any reviews online about it? Has there been anyone saying, oh, it could be my number one, it could be my number 520 odd? Not yet. I assume anyone that has ridden it isn't allowed to say anything, or they work there. So we're going to have to wait on reviews of Falcon's Flight still. But I'm sure there'll be a few in the new year because many people will be travelling out to that opening on the 31st and trying it out. Hopefully, if it opens. Because like I said, I can see that coaster being plagued with a lot of issues. But I hope it is open for those visiting on New Year's Eve. I won't be there. I'll be too busy reporting on this past year in theme parks. Still, more on that later. But more is going on inside Saudi Arabia, where another theme park company wants to build a theme park there. And we've already had Six Flags come over and build one there. You've had Mr. Beast. Now it appears Comcast is looking to build a park over there, which if you don't know what Comcast is, they literally own Universal Studios. So when we've had all the UK Universal stuff come through, that's all been Comcast that have been doing that. And the same has now come through for Saudi Arabia. Universal is just unstoppable. And then we continue flying over to Europe, where there's quite a funny roller coaster that's been announced. Because a theme park somewhere in Europe has announced a brand new Gerstlauer family coaster themed to Cornwall. Take a guess of where that might be going, what country that might be in. You know, Cornwall in England, you know, that sort of county. No, it's not in England. They're building the Cornwall coaster in Hansa Park in Germany. What? I mean, we knew about this coaster anyway because it's going to have 6 launches, a spike, 570 meters of track, and a 31-mile-an-hour speed. Opening next year with like castle ruins and everything, but yeah, it's themed to Cornwall, which is hilarious. And I do kind of want to go and ride it, so 1,000 likes and I will go and ride the Cornwall coaster next year. I think that would be quite funny. Another strange coaster edition in Europe over in the Netherlands that's technically not new, but I'll explain, is debuting at Duinrell in 2026 called Kikker 8 Ban. How am I supposed to pronounce that? Kikker Achterbahn. There you go. I said it right. I hope. Sorry, Dutch viewers. But the reason I say it's strange and not technically new is because as much as this is a new Sierra Force coaster, it's also called Kikker Achterbahn. The old ride in its place was also called, and the ride has a near identical layout. So basically, it's just the same ride again. Kikker Achterbahn Reborn! And now it is time to travel to the UK, where Cornwall is originated from. And they've based that off of the ride in Germany. Either way, we're going to take the lift this time, so... Ugh. We're here in the UK, and there's been quite a few things going on here, mainly at Alton Towers. But I'm also going to use this segment to talk about next week's episode and onwards from that point, so keep watching to the end. Before all that though, Thorpe Park have finally decided to do something in the past few weeks. Feels like that park just doesn't exist at the moment. Their full 2026 opening hours calendar has been released, and it will be subject to change, but the park will be opening and starting the season on the 27th of March and finishing on the 1st of November, only being closed for 13 days in between. Universal have been readying up even more for the UK park to start construction, with them changing the company name of SC Collection Limited to UDX Development Company Limited. Oh, it's all getting very real now! And so much has been happening at Alton Towers, because not only does it appear that there are new redundancies taking place, where a number of roles are going to be at risk of losing their jobs because of Merlin reshaping parts of their business. They keep doing this, and I'm sure this isn't just happening at Towers, I'm sure this is happening at all Merlin parks. Not only has the Alton Towers creator program now officially been stopped, which I've seen so much discourse online about, and it's all from people that either weren't a part of it or have no idea what they're talking about. But it was stopped because it was being ran by people at the park and then got shifted to being ran by people at Merlin. And now with all this structural reshuffle within the roles and everything, there's just no one that will be able to juggle the content creator program with everything else. I do really appreciate the fact that when I spoke to the people that did create it, that they didn't want to force my opinion or anything, and I could still be open and honest about my reviews, and I wouldn't have joined it otherwise. And I appreciate the behind the scenes and exclusive content that we got to film in the time it existed. But on top of all that, a bit of news that Alton Towers can't really control, because, you know, they have their World of David Walliams at the back of the park with Gangster Granny the Ride and a few other things based on his books. But David Walliams has now been dropped by many different book festivals and his publisher following allegations of inappropriate behaviour. What do you even do if you have a full area based on this guy? Obviously, what has been reported is not a joke. I'm really sad to hear what has been going on in the background. But what do Alton Towers do in this situation? Do they renovate that entire area earlier than they wanted to? I mean, I would have thought this is the last year of that area anyway. Or do they just stick it out for a bit longer? I don't know what the actual resolution of this situation is. I'd be very interested to see what Towers decide to do with that in the new year, because they might literally just sort of ignore it and just keep the area for as long as the IP lasts because of that agreement. Or they might just terminate it earlier, which I hope they do, because that change is necessary at this point. And Alton Towers have also made a change in a planning application, which makes it seem like an old plan that they had might still be in the works. If you don't remember, back in 2022, 3 years ago now, I'm so old, they held a public exhibition event where they showcased all the plans for a brand new indoor roller coaster, or attraction as it was known at the time, but it definitely was a roller coaster because that was found later in the plans. But that was then approved later down the line in early 2023, and since then nothing has happened. We've been speculating about the fact, oh, maybe they're just sort of putting it on hold whilst they do Nemesis Reborn and they do all this other stuff. Maybe they'll delay it a year to 2027 or something, but even still now, there is no construction whatsoever. But something has just been changed in the plans, because they have submitted an application to discharge 2 planning conditions which must be satisfied before development can commence. So in simpler terms, they've basically come back to the planning application and changed their mind, which that might have happened, or they just planned to do the Six Flags way and delay it anyway. They've come back and notified the council that, oh, we have actually complied with the site contamination and soil management conditions that were in that sort of envelope of the plan that we had to comply with to make it happen. We have complied with that, so can we now make it happen, if that makes any sense? But yeah, a big shout out to Towers Times, of course, for actually finding this, and it's going to be interesting to see if this does go ahead now, because supposedly if they don't start developing the project by June 2026, then the planning application will be void. But there is still a chance in the planning applications for it to actually open for 2027, which would be a very quick turnaround, but it could happen. But this shows that they are still thinking about this project, that they still want it to happen, because if they didn't, then they would just let the planning application go and say nout about it. But maybe this is the wake-up call. Because of that David Walliams thing, they're going to have to renovate that area, and if they were planning to do that with Project Horizon because they're right next to each other, what's stopping them from cracking on with it now? Very intrigued to see what happens over there, and I hope you guys are intrigued to see next week's episode of this past year in theme parks. Yes, if you remember last year, I did do a this past year in theme parks where we did some weird award show and I ate a shoe, which was lovely. Next week's episode will not be the same as that, but it'll be a very exciting one nonetheless, looking back on the entire year that has been, no pun intended, such a roller coaster. So yes, stay tuned for that next week. And I just want to also say a massive thank you for the support on this series throughout the entire year. This is the first year where I've actually tried to keep it to every week and make this series so consistent. And to have completed most weeks this year, I'll take it. And I really hope you guys enjoyed this series as much as I have making it, because it will be returning next year bigger and better than before. I have a small announcement at the end of next week's episode that you can take how you want to, but next year is going to be a huge year for both myself and this channel, so I really hope you guys do enjoy the content next year. I'll see you guys next time. Have a wonderful Christmas if you are watching this before Christmas, and if you're watching after, I hope you had a good one. See you in a bit.